my name is Giulio and I'm the founder of GradschoolHeaven.com. Today I'll be talking about graduate school rankings and how they can help inform your selection of schools. Now, there are three different rankings that I'm going to be talking about today. The first is US News & World Report, the second is the National Research Council, and the third is the rankings that can be produced on a website called phds.org. So, starting with the first of the three rankings that I'll be discussing, US News & World Report is the granddaddy of college and graduate school rankings. They've been compiling rankings since the early 80s, and they've established a very useful basis for comparing the relative attractiveness of hundreds of academic programs. Their graduate school rankings is called America's Best Graduate Schools, and what they've done is they've looked at large enrollment programs such as business, education, engineering, law, and medicine, and rank them using a combination of statistical data and peer assessment data. And for the remaining programs, for example, English, philosophy, linguistics, and so forth, they've only used peer assessment data. The peer assessment data, which comprises such a big part of their rankings, comes from different sources: graduate school deans, program directors, and faculty in the field. So essentially, the US News is sending out questionnaires and asking respondents to rate how good or bad a school is on different dimensions. With respect to the next ranking, the National Research Council, this is produced by the US National Academies, and the survey that they release is entitled A Data-Based Assessment of Research Doctorate Programs in the United States. It's essentially a long-winded way of saying doctoral programs. What makes the NRC ranking different from US News is that it relies on 20 different criteria, and that there isn't the same level of statistical weighting attributed to non-peer assessment data. So essentially what happens is that the NRC goes out, identifies a number of criteria that they think matter, interviews faculty at different universities, and asks them to indicate how important or how much weight the NRC should be attributing to each of these variables. Once a consensus picture emerges, a rankings is produced, and that's what they release to the public. Now, one of the frustrations about the NRC ranking is that it's released in a rather complex spreadsheet, and in addition, it's a ranking that's not produced annually, but is produced at multi-year intervals. So it's not uncommon for their rankings to come out every, let's say, every 10 years. The last interval was the last report. The current report was published in 2010, and to give you an idea, the previous report was published in 1995. The third and final source of rankings is phds.org. Now, this is only going to be relevant if you're applying to a doctoral program, and what you do is visit their website, and you'll be presented with the same criteria from the NCR ranking, only that you'll be able to tweak the weights that you attribute to each of the criteria. So for example, if you value certain aspects more or less, you don't have to adhere to the NCR rankings. You can essentially create your own customized rankings. So consider these three resources when making your decisions, but remember that rankings are only one of several ways of graduate school selection, so please consider other sources as well. For more advice and information, visit gradschoolheaven.com.